Well, friends, I want to welcome you to another episode of Fire Pit. I am here with some very dear friends, Bethany and Theresa. We go way back, and it's been really cool to
Hmm.
see how our lives and our paths have crossed, and particularly around this latest iteration of my art has been really cool. So I'm excited for our conversation, and yeah, just really grateful for y'all. This is the first time I've done something on video, so we're gonna see how that goes. So thanks for rolling with this thing growing and changing and becoming whatever it's going to be. So I'm so glad you guys are here. How's it going? How's it feel to be, reconnecting and all that?
Great.
Doing
Yeah.
awesome. So excited to be on this.
Love the
Yeah.
opportunity to chat more about this project.
Hmm.
Yeah. So we'll start just so there's not prolonged silence. I'll ask a couple questions and I'll have Bethany go first and then Teresa and then just, jump in as needed.
Wait.
What just very generally, what should people know about you? Like what's important that others know about you?
Hmm. That's a really good question. I think when we talk about the concept of who a person is and what they do, what should people know, it can be very abstract and very expansive, especially when you really unpack that nutshell of why, or who are you? So this is on the snapshot picture. I am an average person in an average country, making, finding my way towards my true passion, trying to understand my skills and talents and spending my life moving towards those. So, and then on the more like fun, trying to answer the question a little bit better. My name is Bethany. I run a creative art studio. I also do a lot of work in marketing and communications. And it has just been such a cool joy to work on this project and be connected by Theresa, of course, which I'm sure we'll get to in just a moment. And I think one of the cool things about this and this project, which I'm sure we'll get into a little bit as well, is that I've been wanting to break into digital art more as a way to on the graphic design side and then also in the digital art side. So this was an incredible project to finally get me across the line to getting into experimenting with and really starting to grow my skills in digital artwork. So that's a couple things to know about me.
Yeah. Teresa, let's go for it.
All right. Well, in case you didn't pick up on it already, Bethany and I are sisters. Um, and I guess that's the first thing I want you to know about me. And my name is Teresa. And I guess some things you should know about me is that I'm a learner. I love learning things. I love discovering the world. I love just showing up for what the day has to bring, which is great because I run an art gallery with a bunch of creative people, and you never know what idea is going to pop up or what person's going to walk through the door. That's also my disclaimer to let you know if I mute and turn the camera off, I will be back. And Another thing I love doing is just connecting. Like, I love connecting with people. I love connecting with ideas. I love connecting people and ideas together. Another reason why I think that this art gallery has been something that is just uh, something I'm super passionate about running and being a part of. And Yeah, there's more there, but that's a great place to start.
Yeah. And can you guys share a little bit about how we all became friends, both like in the olden times and also for this most recent thing?
Oh, that's awesome.
Hmm.
So, sometimes people write books about these types of things, but
Yeah.
we originated as vacation friends because of our parents. So,
Yes.
you guys are going to have to chime in, but I think our family started going to Cape Cod.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even
And
know what
it
year.
was the week before the season started. Like, it was a very
Yes.
intentional week that we picked. So, like, in New England, the weather is kind of crazy in that spring. And you're like, if you go to the beach, you're like, I don't know if it's going to be worth it. But then there's
Yeah.
when the beach becomes the best it can be. And that's when prices go up. So our family was always picking that week right before the prices went up, that brought us to a very specific place at a very specific time.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. And
And
I just remember all the different cottages that we would
Yes.
be staying at, and then there was a
Oh,
sort of a common field, and I think your whole family was playing kickball or frisbee or
probably.
something, and taking up the entirety of the place. And we were like, we gotta
Yes.
go, we gotta join. and it's pretty
Yeah.
seamless how it.
Yeah. I think
Yep.
it's so cool because we would vacation together, right? And like it just synced up that it was like,
Hmm.
we know you. We saw you last year. We know you. We saw you last year. And we just kind of became friends. I feel like you guys are
And then
like
it became
the
intentional.
the
Yeah.
cousins that like we were gifted, you know?
Hmm.
Yes.
Um,
Well,
And then
I
we just
just
made it work every year since then. Almost
mhm.
every year as we all grew up. So it was something we looked forward to 1 week in stunning Cape Cod every summer.
Yeah. And I think that like, besides my siblings, Stephen, I think you're like my oldest friend. Like if I actually break that down,
yeah.
pretty
You
sure we're
guys
like
are
the
you
oldest
guys
friends in each
we've known
other's
each other for
lives.
a long time, like a long time. Oh man. So yeah, honored to be old friends and
Mm.
also doing new things together. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we need to go find that time capsule. I don't know where the latest version of it is. We did one for several years, and it was
I hope we
Hmm.
didn't leave it at the condo.
So like I feel like it was given to me as my responsibility and then we went to look
as the
for it and
oldest
it's
kiddo.
gone
Yeah,
and I feel the weight of losing the time capsule
Oh
every time I think
no.
about it.
Oh, we'll have
Because
to
I
free you
think
of
it's
your
at the
guilt.
condo, but we looked for it and we never found it.
Beep boop, beep boop. Hello, can we dig up
uh,
your yard? We've sold
yeah,
this property since we used to own it. We have a very important,
yeah.
critical piece of information buried there.
You call
Kids'
811.
drawings, okay?
Is it 811 the number you call when you dig somewhere so you don't like hit a water main? You're like, okay, 811. Hey,
Okay.
I got a tip about this property, and don't like, can you do this for me?
You gotta dig it up.
That's all.
There's a gelato place.
Mhm.
They had because they do like rotating seasonal flavors, and they did a cantaloupe one the other day, and it was the closest approximation to the cantaloupe ice cream at Four Seas that I've had since then. And
Wow.
I did think about how do I send a pint of this to you guys, like, but
Wow.
Did you used to
so
get cantaloupe ice cream?
oh yeah, they had it. It was one of the special seasonal flavors at Four
I
Seas, and
never
it
remember.
was
I was obsessed with the peppermint stick. So
That one was
probably nothing
so
else
good.
can be
That was
remembered for me.
the only reason to go there, in my opinion, because you could never get that one anywhere else. Nothing like that exists on the whole face of the earth that I've found.
Well, as the years went by, I think, between life and busyness, there was definitely that bit of a connection. I definitely, back to what you said, Theresa, about what's there to know about you. Your people and ideas and connecting is something that's been so beautiful over the years because you and Stephen have definitely been a little more in touch than I have been as I've gone from here to there. So definitely pick up the story with you guys.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I think just over time we've just kind of always like had a touch point. You go by years where you don't connect and then all of a sudden it's like, "Hey, what are you up to?" Or, "Hey, I'm in your neck of the woods. Like, are you
mhm.
around?" And so that's been really cool. And we've really been supporting Stephen in the things that you've been doing throughout some time. And that's been also a great way to stay in touch. I've just been so grateful that you like reach out and you're like, "Hey, I'm doing this thing. Do you believe in it? Do you want to help me do this thing?" And I'm always like, "Oh yeah, that's awesome. Like, if I can, I want to be a part of it." And I think that's also the way that Stephen, you were proactive to be like, "Hey, here's what's going on in my life." And for me to be able to be like, "Oh yeah, okay, cool." But
Well, and
like
there's
sometimes
something.
it'd be years, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, it's something that's so what feels so special to me is you mentioned just the longevity of our friendship, and there's a limited number of people who have seen my life over that
Mm.
amount of time, and so it feels very special to get to like talk to you and Ben and be like, guys, like you you really know me and have seen me and like see why I'm like where I'm coming from with a lot of stuff, and yeah, it's really meaningful to have you along all the adventures and wouldn't want it any other way. And so
Yeah. I think
yeah.
it's also been cool to see how we've both like completely separate in like our own little worlds kind of have like similar interests or similar things that when we come back together, I'm like, wait, you like that too? I thought it was just like me and Ben that were super into this thing. And then we can nerd out about stuff and that's been
Birds
fun.
of a feather.
Yeah.
Yeah, cause like we're all tired, and the times that we get like I get to see you is like after the days of
Mhm.
recording in Nashville. It's like 10 at night. Your kids are gonna
Yeah.
wake up soon. All that stuff, and Yeah, here's all the heavy life stuff we're talking about, and also, so you guys read Rhythm of War, right?
You
Like it
got it,
was
right?
you
Like,
guys, yeah,
what do you think of what Kaladin did there?
yeah.
Like,
How do you
I
think
don't
about that?
know.
And you're like, and also this actually impacted me not only narratively but spiritually, and so I need to
Yeah,
talk to
like
somebody about that.
somehow my life changed because I read that book and like
Yeah,
did it change for you?
yeah. So, man,
Yeah.
it was so cool.
It feels
And
Um,
like we've been able to get snapshots, right? Like
yeah,
there's just like a building up of snapshots over time that have been really cool. And I think that it's almost felt like intentional, like not something that we set out to do. Obviously, we were kids, but to just be like, man, there's my cousin Steven out doing his thing, and like
yeah,
we meet at the family reunions. And it's like not that we planned it that way and not that we
yeah.
call it those things, but that those things kind of happen.
Shall we talk for a sec just about this most recent project and how it came to be?
Hmm.
I'll share my like how I sort of arrived, and then y'all could share your pieces of it. But when I got had the opportunity to start working with Mike, I was doing songwriting lessons at first, and helping process after my treatment and during sabbatical and things like that. It being a real anchor point, both for kind of moving forward through things, but also getting to invest in my creative pursuits in a way that I hadn't before, and it felt really, really special. And then part of the songwriting lessons was just learning stuff. The other part was figuring out, oh, do we would we work well together? And a friend of mine got married in Nashville, and so we drove out there, and I had an opportunity to have this sort of get to know you, like do can we hang out in a production space with Mike? And then it was very, very evident. Oh yeah, this is great. And so I think immediately after that, like I saw you guys, I got to go to the art studio,
Yeah.
got to like geek out about all of it, and then that culminated in my trip in last September, where I got to do all the recording and got to hang out with you guys quite a bit. And so
Yeah.
it's also special that you have always been more than a fly on the wall. That's not the best metaphor, but it's always
Mm.
just very like meaningfully a part of this.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, then I guess I'll jump into what happened with the project is that at our art gallery, we had been curating a collection in January and February that was focused on going through grief and what does it look like to go through grief. And um, I thought we opened up the exhibition for written words as well as visual art. It was one of the first times that we really found a really great way to bridge that because I believe that art is more than visual art. I think visual art's a great starting point, but like it's so expansive. When you talk about art, it is so many different things. And so Stephen, you had like come and recorded your song. We had known about it, and I thought like this works so well. So we got to have your lyrics in our bittersweet gallery, and it
Yeah.
just was kind of like, wait a second, like not only do we need to highlight what you're creating and processing through, but we need to help you create art for this. Like, and it was like, who better than my sister, who is an artist, who knows you, who has it's like peanut butter and chocolate. Like, okay, Beth, you need to be part of this conversation. You need to know what he's creating, and you guys need to create stuff together. And now I'll just back away now.
it's the perfect linchpin combination. It just
Yeah.
this I think might have been like two ships in the night of like two awesome ships just passing, but because of kind of Teresa's connection point there, it was like awesome, awesome, very awesome.
Hmm.
This is a good, yeah, just like you mentioned. So that's where I started to come into the story is as Teresa's planning this fabulous exhibition and talking about different pieces. And of course, I'm always interested in rooting for people I know and love, which includes Stephen and Jessica. So when that part came in of like, oh my goodness, that's so cool. He's working on his music, he's developing and producing really cool work, and there needs to be some kind of visual representation to this. It's like, okay, I don't know if my style or my skills are going to fit exactly what you're looking for, but we're just all here collaborating and having a good time. So let's go for it. And that brings us to today.
Yeah, well, I remember too in when we were hanging out in Nashville. I mean, I think we were all just very excited. Like we're excited because music is happening, because creativity is happening, collaboration's happening, and I think we also were both lamenting a little bit the sense of limitations of our own resources of like, man, if I had thousands of dollars piled up, I could just do more and more songs and more and more songs and more and more songs. And you guys are like, well, if we had all of this stuff, like we could, you know, do this, that, and the other thing to move it forward. And I think it coming back to the intentionality and creativity of like how do we really be supportive of one another in the limitations that we have, because it doesn't feel limited at all right now in terms of like what this is becoming and turning into. But in the times like what do we do with these limited things? It's like yeah, community, network, idea, like having like let's do the crazy idea, let's do the thing. And I think one of the things we talked about was I would love for someone to just hear the song and then just draw, paint, digitally create like whatever the visual representation of it is. Like I got the words pretty well done and I got the sound as best as I can get it, but like what is if you had to sum it up into a picture, you know? And so
Mhm.
it was similar to the to sort of like writing it down. It's for the chorus. It's like if how do I condense my like 16 bars of complicated lyrics into just a singable, rememberable. How do you make it into one thing? And it's like, what's the visual equivalent of that? And then
Mm.
I remember you, Teresa, saying, "Oh, we could think about this person," and then it was the giant light bulb of like Bethany has to do it.
Yeah.
She has to.
I don't know why I
I-
thought of
So,
anyone else beforehand, but I was like, wait a second.
It was
yeah,
so cool. So if you want to jump into, the continuation of the process here,
yeah, let's do it.
as it came across my desk, I was kind of like, oh man, I don't know. Like, do I have the skills and the ability to do this? So do I have the style that's going to make, my friend and client sort of happy? And as we went along, and there's also a lot of things as always going on in all of our lives. So I was in the middle of working on my studio while also looking for full-time work. And with everything going on, I said, I don't know if I've got the time for this. I don't know if I have the energy. I don't know, but I want to give it a go. I want to look into it. And as soon as I saw the lyrics and I heard the music, it's almost like the creative bug just went, okay, we're gonna go in gear and we're gonna create something, because that's just kind of how I'm built. So as soon as I heard that, I was like, okay, I have this idea, I have this idea, I have this idea, and I just started stuffing pages of my sketchbooks with potential visual representations of what this could be like. So that was kind of like jumping into that first step, was doing exactly what you mentioned, like listening to it, hearing it, digesting it, and then saying, what does this make me think of, and what it could be a really good visual representation of what's going on in the song.
Yeah, and what was it? What was it like for you to? Because I a lot of your initial questions to me were focused on what is my what are some of like my aesthetics or describing the different elements of it. And I think my responses were like what's your just gut like what comes out of it for you, and wanting it to be less mediated by my preferences and more mediated by just like what the experience was for you. And so can you share about what it was like hearing the song and then kind of the ideas of the piece?
Yeah, it was so interesting because I hadn't really worked on a design project like this before. Usually, you really, as a designer, as a creative, as an artist, a visual artist, painter, etc., there's so much work that I'm either designing for someone who has specific ideas in mind, and it's more fewer and far between where you get to really bring your just totally fresh perspective to a project in exactly the way that you prefer it. So having that feedback from you, Stephen, was like, wait, what? You just want me to just put all of my ideas into this without like any guidelines? There's always brands and colors and themes and styles. So I really was like punching hard of like, okay, here's tons of examples of like, what do you
Mm-hmm.
most connect with? What color palette do you want? What art style are you interested in? And how all these things. And you're like, I just want to see what you come up with. So it's like, okay.
Yeah, like
when
the only criteria is like it has to be real and it has to be dope. Like that's it.
Well, so that was just such a cool way to start the project. So
Mm.
listening to the song a couple of times and really just kind of letting that sink in. And one of the biggest themes that just resonated right onto me was just a lot of depth and grief and
Yeah.
almost kind of a disbelief of like, what is going on and what am I expected to do here in life on
Mhm.
a day-to-day basis? How am I supposed to cope with the things that life is presenting to me, and that this is just one of the only ways to move forward is to confront and then to be creative and create this beautiful thing. So that was
Mhm.
really emanating a lot to me as I listened. So a lot of the work and ideas I started to create were multifaceted, of a lot of, almost like a lot of different things, whether that's elements, colors, experiences, that are shapes that come into the one experience within, Stephen's life experience. So some of the ideas were, multiple rays of sun, maybe different colors, culminating into a person, emanating a shadow, this juxtaposition or this reflectiveness for like what is reality and what is the dream is kind of one of the themes that really felt
Mhm.
strong to me as I listened to the song and as I started to sketch some initial ideas.
I remember you asked me a question about the texture of it or something like, oh, do you like these pixelated elements, or do you like this type of brushstroke, or do you like, can you talk about just texture and what, because that was a whole concept of, it's like, oh, clearly I don't know much about making visual digital art, because and the way that you like render the different things, like it evokes so many different particular feelings. Yeah, so can you share
Absolutely.
more about that?
Definitely. I think that's one of the magical things that happens when you are designing or creating something in a visual way is that there are very small or minor tweaks, excuse me, that you can do to create a completely different vibe, a completely different effect. Teresa and I were just talking about this when it
Oh yeah.
comes to interior design
Yeah.
and what kind of experience or vibe when you walk into different
Mhm.
rooms. And the power of texture is so phenomenal, actually, when you look into it. Colors, because everything kind of evokes a different look, feel, personality, character. So when it came to some of the actual tactical things I was playing around with the digital piece, that first the first after we came up with a couple of ideas, the first getting into the system, I literally downloaded a digital art software like for this project. And
Nice.
I was just having a heyday experimenting with all these incredible textures that I could do digitally. It's just magical how the world has
Mhm.
changed and how you can do something traditionally and then how you can do it digitally. So digitally, I was just having so much fun playing around with all the different brushes, all the different textures, the different effects. Some were special effects, and like even just like splatters, I had no idea that like what would take thousands of strokes could just be whoosh, done in a second just because
Yeah.
of the right brush.
Mm.
So all of that really came into play when I was looking at bringing that first piece to life, is what can be added on and layer after layer after layer in that visual way to really communicate what we're going for here. So the pixelated effect definitely made it feel like there was something jumbled or disjointed, something that wasn't kind of fitting together like a puzzle piece. Um, some of the smoky or webby effects that we experimented at first felt very kind of dark and tangled and
Mhm.
confusing. So it was really cool to experiment to say what can we create visually and how does that immediately make you feel based on the colors and the textures there.
It reminds me a little bit of, as I have been playing around with different production software and really just trying to learn more about GarageBand. This is a tangent. I promise it'll come back. I just get excited about it. I recently was going through stuff in the basement trying to find like this certain plug that would work for. I bought a CD player and it's super old, so it has like this really specific AV plug-in thing that you use. So I was looking for that, and I stumbled onto this old musical instrument that I kind of forgot that I had, and the instrument is this keytar. It's this red keytar. It's like a, a keyboard, tiny keyboard, but you would hold it like a guitar and be super cool. Um, so I found that the other day, and then I realized with some of the production stuff I've gotten, I can hook that up to my laptop and add all of the effects to these random 1980s old keyboard synth sounds,
But
and just like in the same way you were talking about, oh, here's like what a brushstroke looks like. Oh, here's what this effect of it does. I had again just like very basic synth sound, and then I could run it through this compressor, this reverb, this other thing, this and the sounds are insane. It's incredible, and I
wow.
think
Wow.
I'm probably gonna do a whole episode of this in some way, just about rediscovering that instrument and the ways that it's taken on even new life now. So
Wow. It's just a wonderful process to experiment. And I will also just take one step back too, because as we were going through of like, here's my initial impressions and here's some of the design ideas, and we met and kind of went over that handful of about a dozen or so. And the one that felt most strongly to me is a bit of a version of what viewers and listeners are going to eventually see with this first release, which is really cool because I felt really strongly like it was a very distinct picture that came to mind for me as I was listening to everything. There were, like I said, a lot of other designs, but I think with your encouragement of what really struck me the most is what
mhm.
the concept we ended up developing for today.
Hmm.
Yeah. Do you want to share more about the concept, or do you want to show and then share what feels best for you?
No, actually,
Sure.
I can definitely tell you a little bit more about it, and then we can take a quick peek at the
Yeah,
design.
let's do it.
Hmm.
So, what came to me after hearing that song, the strongest design that felt the most comfortable, most confident, and most like this makes sense to me in my mind was a number of different things. It was the kind of feeling of being empty, of being the husk of a person that you once were or that you wanted to be. And that was represented very much by a skeleton. You know, we see skeletons in a lot of different ways. And especially when we had conversations, there was like very much the Dia de Muertos,
The
Teresa.
those, yeah.
Yep, yep. So like the skeletons and the flowers, it's very beautiful, but it's definitely got its own vibe. But for this, it just felt like that bareness, like stripped back to bare bones, is what first kind of hit me. So there was one element that was really strong, and another thing was the the skeleton is kind of looking at something or leaning on something or in a position of anguish or dismay. And part of this was a book on the table, and this element didn't end up staying into the final design, but that very much felt like either an ideology or a structure of life or a framework to live by. And it, you know, it was visually kind of burning away. So it was like, okay, I'm here, I'm a husk of a person, I'm trying to follow this framework. This framework, I find myself in this life burned away, and the framework I'm kind of following with is also burning away.
Mhm.
So there's a lot of like kind of flames, disintegration, kind of emptiness and disparity that's just so deep. It just has to be bones because there's nothing else left. So that felt
Hmm.
really strongly in a top portion. But because Stephen, in the music that you created, there's also a hope. There's a you're getting up every day. It's day by day. It's year after
Yeah.
year that they're still like, okay, there's not much of me left, but what is left, I'm going to keep trying to bring to the table, whatever is here. So I really wanted there to be, it really felt important that there was a spring of hope reflected in the design as well. And that's where kind of the reflective bit, which also ended up being a strong element in the final design
Mhm.
of that reflection and that hope for something greater, something better, something more beautiful, even if it's not achievable in this life or in next year or the year after or tomorrow, that
Hmm.
hope for the future. And there's that like brightness, that life. And that's definitely nature for me. So I really wanted natural elements, florals or beautiful scenes of getting, you know, kind of Bob Ross feels. There's just so much joy and color in that. So that's kind of that reflective piece and all of that together, trying to make sure those elements are really juxtaposed nicely so that it really fits with quite the variation within the music.
Yeah. Teresa, anything to add? Just
I do have some things I want to
let's do
add.
it. Yeah.
So I just somehow like hearing the music and seeing the lyrics and then knowing both of you and knowing how adult life has really been different than what we thought it was going to be. I think that as kids, when we vacationed together and just lived this joyful life, looking ahead and where we are today, I don't think we would have expected the things that we went through, the things that already just, a short period of adulthood has brought us through. And it really resonated with me. Like, Stephen, your lyrics, your experience, and Beth, your experience, it's each of you have had to go through a grief. We've all had to go through a grief too. I think there's like, you can't, I remember when I was a kid, I used to be so proud because I wouldn't cry at movies that were sad. Why was this a badge of honor? I don't know. But now all you have to do is play like the music from Howl's Moving Castle and
Oh
I
my
start
God.
crying.
Yeah.
Or any like it literally there will be a smell, there will be a sound, there will be something and all of a sudden I'm like crying and I'm like, wait, what just happened? And I think it's because we've lived life, right? Like
Yeah.
when we were kids, we didn't have to go through hard things. We hadn't been through the stuff that we've been through. And it just like, I don't know, it just touched me so deeply to be like, we've had to grieve. We've had to go through hard times. We've had to be disillusioned. We've had to figure out how to pick up the pieces and move forward. And one of the things that just really resonated, Stephen, with some of the stuff you were talking about is almost a sense of like, how am I even still here? How has this not destroyed me? Like, can it just destroy me? Like, can I just be done? And that was like a big thing that I got from this is the sense of like, why on earth? Like, I just want to be done with this struggle. And yet here I am showing up every day, trying to put a brave face on it, trying to like dance through it, trying to brush my teeth, trying.
Yeah.
And that I think is just captured so well in also the image that Bethany you're striving to create. And I'll just throw this in here. When we first talked about a skeleton, I was kind of like, eh? And one of the reasons, I'll just throw this out here because I think I identified it, is that to me a skeleton feels so lifeless, so expressionless, so stoic. And what I'm really excited for you guys to see is that Beth has found a way
Yeah.
to put emotion in a skeleton. And for me, that was the piece that like pulls it all
Yeah.
together is this sense of like, even stripped down to the bare bones, like there is some life here, there's expression here, there's hope here, there's movement here, there's life here. And I think, Stephen, you might have to remind me what you said, but you said something along the lines of like I'm crushed, I'm pressed, I'm like pulled back to the bare bones of who I am, and yet I am not destroyed. Like this, I think is a part of the heart of what's going on in this song, what's going on in this artwork, and I think also the reconnecting of all of us together to celebrate that, to celebrate that we can raise a glass to life being hard and to still being here.
Whoa.
I'll just receive all that. And just man.
I'll throw one more thing while you guys are still
Yeah.
processing that I will like
While you're
I'm it's not
line
even
speechless.
all
processing.
up.
I'm just like sitting in it, you know?
Yes,
Just like
I just
marinating.
I just love one of the things that's just so cool to me is that, right, like I've seen you both since we were kids. And I love seeing the things that are still around, right? Like that's part of what we're celebrating here is like,
mhm.
Stephen, you've always had fun with words. I feel like that's like just a huge part of who you are is you've always been
Well,
like
I mean, Balderdash
wordplay.
was the craziest thing. Do you remember
Yes.
that? That
We
was
used to play Balderdash. Uh-huh.
A
insane.
crucial point. You can't
It
forget
was
that.
insane.
Yeah. And you would play with stuff. You'd say like what, like a two-sided
Yeah,
triangle, the
four-sided triangle.
definition.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. like a spotted zebra, like
Yeah.
just off the wall stuff that's like playing with concepts.
A green cantaloupe and an orange honeydew, and yeah, it's just
Yeah.
like
And the absurdity, the fun of it, the music, the fact that music was always such a big part of what we would enjoy together. And I see that
Mhm.
here. I see it. It's still here. And like Beth, you've always been creative. You've always been expressive. You've always known how to bring life and joy into a place. You've always had that like bubbly smile and that bubbly laugh and the ability to find beauty even in the things that were crazy or funny or just like going for it. You've always just gone for it. And I just love that your artistic abilities like have held like you've held on to them and you've honed them and you've worked through it. And to me, it feels just so cool to be able to say like these things that we've had for a long time are still here. And these things are even better than they've ever been. And now we can like combine them all into this really cool flow of bringing our talents to the table to express life. Like it's just the coolest thing.
yeah. I think I don't know if it's going through the some crazy stuff. I don't know if it's parenting. I don't know if it's just being in this stage of life where uh, I we know who we are a lot more than we did a few years ago. Um, but just the permission to be creative and connect with the childhood stuff and to just because it really hasn't gone away. It's just it's like it's in you, it's in us, and in some place we just have to access it. And I felt a lot more permission to do that, and so I don't know if that's been part of any of the experience for you guys, but it has. It's been
Yeah.
cool.
Being able to collaborate in this project, just to what you're saying, Stephen, has definitely been, this is the direction, this is the space, this is the energy that I want to keep expelling, and being able to create. It's just one of my superpowers. And getting a chance to really indulge in that and to grow in that has just been so cool. It's just been so cool.
Mm.
Are we ready to see the design a
Yes,
little bit, or do we want to
let's do
listen to
it.
the music?
Yeah, let me play the song, and for those listening or watching, we'll probably skip through part of the song just so you can get the when it comes out you'll get the full experience. But we'll do the song, and then share the thing, and we'll talk about it. So let me pull this up here. All right, can you hear this? So here we go, everybody. Every year. Go for it.
Wow. There's so many lines that I
Mm-hmm.
love in this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can just see the intentionality and, dare I say, brilliance of being able to put so many big, deep, complicated, unnameable things into what, 2 minutes?
The fact
Not
that it
just,
felt
not
like
just,
2 minutes is amazing because it's like it's 4.5 minutes, which feedback I've gotten that's pretty long, and it's like it felt the fact that it felt that amount of time is
yeah,
I'll take it. It's awesome.
it did. It
Yeah.
flew by. And not just the length of time, but in the way you were able to put it all together
Yeah.
from that creative musical perspective. I am not a musicosaurus, kind of like a connoisseur of music. So I'm not going to try and be anything with my whatever, but I just, I connect with and relate to so much
Yeah.
that you shared. And it's so cool how you sharing your experience can
Hmm.
translate to other people's lives and make them feel seen and heard and like, hey, look, Steven's getting up and not only is he just he's there, he's going to try and enjoy it anyway. He's
Yeah.
going to try and relax and unwind. Like he's here and look, he's got the face of the face who's faced all my fears. I love that line. It's like
Yeah.
it's just mind-blowing and it's encouraging and it's inspiring and it's just so relatable. So it's
Hmm.
just phenomenal. First impression here, hearing it.
Yeah.
I'll receive it. Thank you. Teresa, you haven't heard this in a
Oh,
while, or you haven't heard it since
no.
like I was there. So
Yeah.
it's really
So much has been added. Like, talk about the texture with Beth. Like
Mhm.
this music, you've added so much texture to it in the sense of like so many layers of different instruments and bass notes and trumpets and like all of this melding together of different kinds of sounds to create this synergy, which is just so cool. And I think it's like you are speaking in words and speaking in music to bring together this complex situation. And it is so relatable. It's so powerful. And I think that what really touches me is the fact that it's a declaration to enjoy life
Mhm.
anyway. You know, so much we think that enjoying life and being present is kind of a passive thing, but it is like you are standing on the mountain and you're like, I will enjoy this. I will choose to be here. I will face my fears and I'm going to be here. This is my space. This is a space that I've been given. And you're doing that through not just your like existence, but now through your words, now through your music and being vulnerable in that. Like, oh my goodness, I am blown away time and time again, inviting creative people to share things that are important. And there is so much depth in that. There is so much relatability in that. There's so much power in hearing your story through this song, a snapshot of what you've been through and what you're continuing to go through, and the choices that you're intentionally making. It's empowering. It's so empowering and it's so like freeing and it's so fun. It's fun.
Yeah. This was the first time I got to share it over Zoom with someone, and it kind of the medium forces you to see how other people are responding to the music, even more so than in real life sometimes. Because
Yeah.
usually I'll put it on and then I'll go, I'll feel a desire. I gotta talk and explain things, and so I just leave the room and get a glass of water or something. So, but here I was watching you guys, and we're sharing like the depth of grief and the sadness and the intensity of the life experience, and then the way that the music works is like we're all just sitting here like,
It was
this is
grooving.
good, this is great, this is like, and I think that's exactly. It's so affirming, and I want to have just a whole other party for it because I think that's like what I wanted it to convey
Mm.
is is like just to have that experience like wow, he's talking about a lot of hard things, but man are we feeling good right now, like this is so fun. And I think that there's something to that. And when I was finishing treatment and all that, like there's so much language around that. It's like it's a battle, you're fighting, it's war, and all of this very militarized things. And it's like yeah, there's a sense of like you're having to wake up and like fight for your life in some of these ways, but that never, I don't know, it just sounded so exhausting. I mean, it is exhausting,
Mm.
but the sense
Yeah.
of like, oh, it's like you gotta like fight back and like reclaim whatever. And I'll show this the whole long story another time. But I got to go on a kayak trip for like cancer survivors in my age range, and it was amazing experience. And one of the things I took away from that week, among I think a bajillion other things, was oh right, like the way that you like fight back is you just enjoy life. Like you just have to,
Yeah.
because you can't really control anything else. You can try to, but the main thing you can actually control is your attitude about the present moment, which is or like how much you're allowing yourself to enjoy something, even if it's not that enjoyable. You can still have a beat on that's like, oh, this is still fun. you know.
I was
I'll just jump in quick then to say that it directly ties to something that we've been doing at the gallery where I know there's a lot of people, I'm sure people who are listening to this who've been affected by dementia, Alzheimer's and other dementias. And we had a creative here in our community who's taking care of both of her parents going through that. And I've had personal experience with that. And she was saying she went to a conference all about like trying to help caregivers. And she's like, this is so overwhelming. Like
Mhm.
I feel like great, it's important to have resources, but what are we gonna do to like be creative, to unwind, to unburden, to like be present? And so we've been able to host workshops here that are specifically designed for caregivers to connect and unwind and connect about something more than just the care, like the care that they're giving, but just to enjoy, to be present. I think there's something really powerful in not being defined by the struggle that you've gone through, but acknowledging it too. Like there's something I think there that's really powerful that you're talking about.
and the other thing I was going to say, Stephen, is that sounds like such a cool program. And by any chance, is it called Outliving It?
Yeah, it was called
Based in
First the
Colorado?
it's called First the Sense, yeah, based in
First
Colorado.
Descents.
Yeah,
Okay.
outliving it is their slogan. Yeah.
Yes. All right. I discovered that organization a number of years ago, and I keep looking on their website to try and get a job with them because that whole entire concept is like so incredible in my soul. That's like, because outdoor adventure is such a big part of my life and my passion. And it's just, my mind is just a little bit blown right now because I didn't know that, and that you got to
Yeah.
experience
Oh man,
that
yeah.
trip with that organization, and they do such amazing stuff. And like you said, second party or another party, I want to hear all
Mhm.
about it.
Another
Yeah.
campfire.
But yeah. Uh
Mm.
it was awesome. Oh, I'm so excited you've like come across that thing, and I was so grateful I was able to be a part of it.
Oh,
Like,
Wow. It's
and
just another example of these like crossovers that we've had in our lives, like
ridiculous
between
in the
our
best
lives. It's
way.
just
Yeah.
mind blowing.
I think just some of the narrative around is like, okay, every day's a struggle. You have to fight back. You have to do this, and the more I was spending time in community, the more I was just kayaking and hanging out at the fire pit and eating food, riding bikes, and just sharing so much because the built-in vulnerability is there to like the thousandth
mm,
degree, and realizing a lot of our kind of core reflections were about right like the way we move forward is we it's like gratitude and enjoyment. And I think it can be there's a way that can sound cliche, but it's like the least cliche thing. It's the most like real and most tangible and most like I'm
Hmm.
struggling to put words like that's the depth of it.
yeah.
And there was also something about that experience of getting to I facilitate retreats and I facilitate Bible studies. I facilitate community. I'm usually the person who's planning or involved in some way, facilitating. And so to get to be a part of in a super intentional experience like this, just as a participant, was probably the first time I'd done that in years. And then I
Wow.
had the experience of like no one knew each other, so it was the first time I was entering into a community, and I got to get to see like the first impression of myself being reflected back in how other people were connecting with me and sharing about, and we would give like shout outs around the at different times and stuff. And that was radically like transformative for me, just being like after all of this disorientation, like who is all the stuff in the song, but then you go there and then people respond to you by saying, oh yeah, I know who you are, you're like this. And it was wild, is all I'll say.
Wow.
I want to interview all the people or have conversations with all the people who are in my group. Shout out to y'all. You'll hear this sometime.
Oh,
Um,
that's amazing. And it's so cool that that in whole experience just got totally translated into your song of like,
mhm.
hey, that I just love that, like almost like quiet defiance. Like, okay, yes, this is supposed to be a war. This is supposed to be something that's a battle, but showing up and saying
Yeah,
joy, gratitude.
yeah, yeah. Well, I have a whole other song that I wrote sort of after doing the trip. I'll share that with you too. It's one of like I love this. The song I wrote after. I mean, I'm so excited for it.
So are we
Can
ready
we?
to see?
Yeah, let's see the art. Let's see the
Let's see
art.
it. Let's see it. Let's see
Let's do
it.
it.
Okay.
People have been
Let me,
waiting.
yes, yes. Okay. Let me know when you can see it.
Here.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Whoa. Look at this. Look at this.
And even now, it's like it's on the cusp. There's a couple, caveat, couple final details to
Hmm.
be, finished. But I'm just so pleased with the way this came out. And I think if some people might not believe what it started with, because the first digital version of this was like garish. It was like somebody threw up a circus on a canvas. So I'm just so pleased with the way that and this is something that I'm learning if I may go into this tangent on my
Do it.
own
Take
Do
creative
it.
all the
process.
tangents. I've done too many of
Yes, please.
No. Well, one of the things that I can clearly see, so as a visual artist, I'm highly detail oriented. I can obsess about details, and there, because it is the details that really bring it to the next level. So of course I'm obsessed about those. But when it comes to some of my designs, I can get so excited about the details, and then it goes over the top.
it. Hmm.
So a lot of my work, my initial versions, my first drafts, my V1, V2, V3, they can be too much. If something can be too much, I don't necessarily like that verbiage, but there could just be a lot, and sometimes less is more. So after got that first version done, and it felt kind of like, oh, cringe, like I don't want to share this with Stephen and Theresa yet, because this is not what was going on in my head. Like, this is not where I wanted to start with. But I knew that in the design process, things usually get ugly before they get beautiful, especially if you're partway through a painting. Depending on the stage you're at, it is like a very painful, ugh, what does this look like? You have to believe so strongly in the vision that you have in your mind
Hmm.
to go through the ugly bits so you can get to the beautiful finished product. So that first version, it was scary. I was like, okay, they're probably going to think I've got nothing to give here. But it was like, nope, it's okay. This is the process. We got the concepts down. We're going to keep refining it. We don't stop here. So we don't need to be scared to share in this version of it. So that first
Beautiful.
version, and I'm interested to hear what you guys think after that commentary I gave for my inner working. But it was so cool to then say, this is all the effects, or this is all the colors, and these are all the things that could do. Now let's go ahead and be really selective about what we put in, what we take out,
Hmm.
how we refine this so we can really get to where we're going with this.
It's amazing. I think we need to talk through the elements that are here.
Okay.
But like, I think Stephen, you should give your thoughts on like what stands out to you.
Yeah, the thing that's striking me this time is that the skeleton looks less like, there's like a skeleton in this in this background or in this piece of art, and that the skeleton is actually just part of like the natural scenery and natural environment. Something about the way you added, like, there's like the scorched earth on the top and like the bare trees and like the ash
Mm-hmm.
around it, and how
Hmm.
that is like melding with the like
Like
this
the,
like the skin, and or no, that the not the lack of
the not
skin,
skin.
and the abundance of bones, the skin, like the bones of it. It just feels like it has grown out of the environment that it's in, and so like the nature
Absolutely.
piece there is hitting me in a new way. I also I think I'm seeing it, like the contrast of like the kind of the dark muted gray on the top, and then how bright it is on the bottom. um
Hmm.
and just, like you've talked about the interplay of light and dark and like heaviness and lightness in the song and in the lyrics, and so I think that's captured really well. And then I think you really preserved what you were getting at with the book, and like reflection, and the thing you hold on to is burning away. And so like the skeleton doesn't actually know, it's like looking at something, but it's hard to see what the reflection is. So there's like
Mm.
reflection happening, but there's so much like beneath the surface that
Yeah.
it's there to be
Mhm.
found as fruit of moving forward, you could say, or just
Yeah.
of like of seeking it out.
I think something I've really loved about the process is to see where it was. I do. I obsess. I love it. I love that first stage, because for me, when you're first starting something, no idea is a bad idea. brainstorming, you toss all judgment out the window. There's no bad idea. So I loved getting to throw all of that and then to that, like I said before, carefully paring back to see what it will become. And this, this wasn't necessarily my original intention. And that's another cool part about this process is that as we went through iteration after iteration, as the kind of the paradise reflection in the bottom really came to life, it kind of felt really clear that there needed to be kind of a charred forest above it. And that wasn't necessarily in, the original idea here, but I think everything together, you can tell that something has been on fire. You can tell that there's kind of nothing left, but that they're still kind of alive with that expression, Theresa, you were saying, within that skeletal experience, but that there's just so much more in the future.
I love that there's like so many layers to it as well. Like you can look in the pool and see the reflection of the skeleton and the charredness reflected in the pool, but then you could look deeper beyond that and see the life there, which I think is just so neat. And I love that there's space to acknowledge both things. There's space to embrace both things being simultaneously true, that I think is so powerful in what you've created, Beth.
And what's hitting home for me too is I have to do this with every piece of music I make now, to like this same process of like find the right person. You'll probably be the right person for a lot of these things, but don't feel the burden of having to do all of that, right? But I think
Yeah.
someone needs to hear the song, that it has a genuine impact, and then like the vision for what they have comes from, because it's adding so much life to what I've already written. And that is also a very expansive process that I'm just like in real time experiencing, where it's like, oh yeah, I finished it, there it is, but it's like adding layers of life to it, what's already been done. And so I just have such a great deal of gratitude for that. And
Yeah.
you have evoked so much. Um, yeah, again, like the picture is worth 1,000 words, and you've hit that out of the park. So
So is it safe to
thank
say you're
you.
happy with it?
Yeah, that's yeah, that's good.
This is good. That's so
Mhm.
cool too. And I think something else I really loved about this is that I got to kind of imbue my own journey. I got to kind of recognize my own journey as I made this sort of for you and for yours.
Mm.
Because sort of what we were talking about a little earlier, or that original idea that came to me of that kind of framework of your life kind of burned away and what's left. I had my own version of that where kind of everything that I thought I knew just kind of burned away and I was just left with what felt like nothing. So being able to create something like that, but then yet here I am today, and there's still a lot of like hope and joy just in who I am and in everyday life. Like it just totally felt like that vibrancy and that
Mhm.
creativity and that reflection like still is there. Like we can,
Yeah.
and I think kind of like what we mentioned in our adult journeys, I think as you grow, at first I was like, I have this emotion and I have this emotion. And you can actually carry multiple different emotions in your soul kind of at the same time. And I think I thought it had to be like, I'm either happy or I'm sad, or things are going well or things are not going well. And I think as my experience in life deepened, so did my ability to hold conflicting
Mm.
Hmm.
emotions. So I feel like this piece
Yeah.
also holds conflicting life experiences or conflicting emotions, and that there's sorrow and there's joy. And it's so
Mhm.
cool to see that kind of come to life here in this piece. Thank you for Theresa for connecting everything, and Stephen for
Yeah.
giving me this opportunity to create something so special for you, and just love it.
Yeah. Thank you for being my friends. Thank you for being like partners in this, collaborators, like the greatest network of people to do this. This is just really cool. So super grateful. As we wrap up here, any just final concluding thoughts, things that you want people to remember from the conversation?
Well, it's so cool to be part of this, to be part of life, to be a part of life happening, and to amplify this kind of creativity and this kind of vulnerability. Um, we need more of it in the world, because I think that when we share, we find out that the things that were scary about sharing are really resonating, that really resonate with people. We go through life. I think it's almost like I don't know, like a weird illusion to think that we're not going to struggle and to be able to share the struggles together and to be able to be honest about what's going on, but then be able to like persevere and to have hope. Um, that's incredible. And I'm just like, I really want to amplify that going on with both of you and the life that you are choosing to have and choosing to create and choosing to fight for, but in a non-fighting way, in a pacifist way. I think is just beautiful. And to share that with the world is to take it to the next level. To truly be vulnerable here is really um valuable. And I just want to honor the fact that both of you have been very vulnerable in sharing what you have to share. And it's incredible.
Thanks, Theresa. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. And probably to build off this, our grandmother or our great grandmother and our mother, there's this line that they always used to say, which is, "Be true to thyself and fault to no one." And as I heard that growing up, I thought, that doesn't make any sense. What do you mean fault to no one? Like what, and I think as life has progressed and the true blessing of that has really impressed on my life, it's I think a commitment to being authentically yourself. And like you were saying, Teresa, even if it's vulnerable or scary. So this is kind of an uncomfortable process, when you're creating something and you're putting it out to the the pit of the world. And I think when you're committed to creating what you know you have to and really detaching from the outcome, that's one of like the biggest things in life that I'm trying to hold on to and trying to learn and trying to incorporate in my daily life is commit to the process and detach from the result. So I'm just so glad that we're here. We're committing to the process. This has been kind of a stop and go. It's been a little messy. There's a lot of patience that everyone has had, especially as I've gotten closer and closer to this and this project. But sticking into the process and saying, okay, I'm not sure how it's going to come out, not sure what's going to happen, not sure, but staying here and showing up every day is so important. And it's so cool that Stephen, in your life, you've done that with everything going on, and you're showing up day by day, every day. You're going to do it anyway. And that Teresa has been just this connected bridge and her superpower of just encouraging and amplifying and creating the atmosphere and the connections to have these kind of things come to fruition. So just so much love and so much thankfulness. And thank you, Stephen, so much for having us on and the opportunity to share. I really don't get this a lot, to really share with other people. And it's scary too, so we're here together, and I just couldn't be more thankful to have this experience and with both of you.
Yeah, friends, this has been a joy. It's been a delight. It's been an honor. Super grateful for y'all. And we'll definitely do more of this, and we'll do this again. So all the peace and love to you guys. And friends, thank you for listening to our conversation and
Mm-hmm.
for hanging out. I'll put the
Yes.
info about their respective agencies and stuff that they work for so you can check more stuff out. And yeah, we'll see you next time.